Hello everyone and welcome to Simplilearn's YouTube channel. I hope you guys are doing well. Today we'll be taking you through an HTML mini project. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is also known as the most basic building block of the web, which is used to create the structure of any website with the help of numerous predefined tags. It helps the browser to understand the structure and style of a document or files for viewing over the internet. In this video, we'll create the layout of a simple job application form with the help of HTML and CSS only. So before we begin, let me tell you guys that we have regular updates on multiple technology videos. So if you are a tech geek in a continuous hunt for the latest technological trends, then consider getting subscribed to our YouTube channel and press that bell icon to never miss any updates from Simplilearn. So without any further delay, let's get started. HTML is used to create the layout of any web page. By layout, we mean the structure of a web page. Today, we'll be creating the layout of a job application form where the user can apply for a job. Let me quickly take you through what we are doing today and then we'll see how we can do it. So here we are on the landing page of our application form. You can see here that we have a bunch of input text boxes where the user can fill in all the required information to apply for a job. We have to style this web page to make it look more attractive to the user. Obviously, we'll be using some CSS for that and you'll learn everything we are doing in this video. So here you can see we have the column for first name, last name, then we have email, job role, address, city, pin code, date of birth, and a CV portal. So here the user can choose a file to upload from. Then he can apply, and on clicking on apply now, you can see we have this pop-up which says please fill out this form. We'll go through everything in this tutorial. So please watch the video till the end and you can post all your queries in the comment section. We'll definitely help you out. So let's start creating this layout. For this, we'll move back to our HTML document. Here we have our HTML document and we'll start writing our code here only. The first thing we are going to do is we are going to create a div, or we can say a container. So let's use the class attribute first. Let's say the class for this is going to be container. We'll close this and here we have a container. Fine. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to create the box first. So for that we have to write here div. And again we have to use another class for this. The class attribute we are using, this is because of the CSS part. We are going to style each element with the help of ID or class or the tag name. Fine. So first of all, we'll write here class. Let's say the class name is going to be apply box. And then we'll move inside here and we have a heading then. So we'll write here h1 and inside h1 we'll write job application. Fine. So let's go through the form first. So here you can see we have written job application here. Now what we are going to do is we are going to write this web over here. You can see the font for web is a bit smaller. So let's write the code for this as well. We are going to write here after this job application. We are going to use the span tag again and then we'll write here class. Class is going to be title and let's say small. Fine. We'll write something inside here. So in brackets we have written web over here. Fine. So here we have the title of our application form. Save it now and here you can see we have job application web written over here. We are going to make this font smaller on the CSS part where we are going to style this particular with the help of class attribute. So let's move ahead and now what we'll do is we'll create another form inside this div tag. So we are going to write here form and then we are going to write here action. We are going to let it be there and now we are going to create another div inside this form tag. So we'll write here div, then class we are again going to use form container. Fine. So this is a class name and let's do one thing. So we have this div tag over here. We are going to use another div tag for each input box we have. So we'll write here class. Class is going to be, let's say, form control. Fine. So keep this thing in mind. We have different class name for each div tags we have used till now. Don't get confused in this part. So the next thing we have in our application form is the label. You can see here we have the label as first name here. Fine. So let's use the label tag for this. So we are going to move back to our HTML document and we are going to write here label. So we'll write here label is for first name. Fine. So this is the label. Then we have the label as first name. Fine. So this is the label for a input box. Now the next thing we are going to do is we are going to write here input. Now we are going to use the input tag. Fine. For a placeholder, or we can say for a text box. Then we'll write here ID. ID is going to be first name. And then we have another attribute over here as name as well. So we'll write here name as, again, let's say first name for this text holder, or we can say for this placeholder or text box, whatever we can say. Now we are going to use the placeholder attribute. Placeholder is going to be enter first name. Fine. So we'll use this and then we'll write here at the end required. We'll discuss what this required property will do in a while. So let's close this input tag for now, save the program, and you can see we have a first text box over here with the label as first name, and then we have this text box where the user can enter their first name. You can see we have a pop-up here which says please fill out this field. This is because we have used the required attribute inside the input tag. Fine. So let's move back to our application form here, and you can see we have several text boxes over here, right? We need to add all of them first. Fine. So let's do one thing. Let's move back here and we'll add all the text boxes first. So the next text box we have to add is for the last name. So we are going to use the same procedure. We are going to use a div tag for that. Now we have to come out of this div tag first, and then we have to write here another div tag. Fine. So div we are going to write here, and we are going to write here class. Class is going to remain the same for all the div tags. Remember, this is the div tag for first name. So we have the class name as form control over here. We'll copy it from here. We'll paste it here. We are going to use the same class for all the text boxes so that we can later style them at once. Fine. So let's write here inside this div tag. We are going to use the label first again, and we are going to write here for last name. Label is for last name. Then we have a last name over here. Fine. Now we are going to use the input tag again. For the text box, we'll write here input. ID is going to be, let's use some space over here to make it more cleaner to you guys. So we'll write here ID as last underscore name. Then we have name as last name again. Then we have placeholder. Inside placeholder, we'll write enter last name. Fine. So we'll use the required attribute here again. So we'll write here required, and that's it. We are going to close this input tag. Save it again, and you can see we have this last name present over here on a browser. So this is the label name and this is the text box. Similar thing we are going to do for each text box we are going to add. Now the next text box we are going to add is for a email address. Fine. So we'll write here again div. Class is going to be form control, and that's it. Inside this we are going to use the label tag again. We are going to write here for, and label is going to be there for email. Then we'll write here email. This is a heading, and then we are going to use here input. So input, inside input we are going to use the type attribute because we are going to write here email, because this is where the user will enter their email. So for that we are going to use the type attribute, and the type is going to be email. Fine. Next up we'll write here id. Id is going to be email, and then we have name again as email, and finally we have placeholder. So we'll write here enter email, and then we'll write here required. Fine. Next thing, we are going to close this input tag, save the program, and you can see we have the text box and label for our email as well. So again we are going to use the div tag. This time we are going to use it for another text box. So we'll write here div class is form control, and then we have inside this we are going to write here label. Label is going to be there for, let's check it out once. So after email we have a job role. Fine. So the label will remain the same, but instead of input tag we are going to use the select tag, because we are going to provide options to the user. So you can see we have 4 different job roles present over here. We have React, Node.js, full stack, and frontend. So let's see how we can do it. We'll move back to HTML document, and we'll write here label for as job role. Fine. So we'll write here job underscore role, and we'll write here job role. Fine. After label, we are not going to use the input tag again. We are going to use the select tag. Fine. So we'll write here select, and then we'll write here id. Id is going to be job underscore role. Fine. Then we'll write here name. Name is going to be job role again, and we'll write here required. Fine. That's it. So we are going to put some options inside this. So we'll use the select tag here, and we are going to use option. Fine. So we'll write here option. Option is a tag. Then we'll write here value. The first value is going to be select job role. So this is what we want the user to see when he opens the application form. So we'll write here select job role. That's it. Then we have another option. So we are going to use another option tag for this. We are going to write here value as React, and the value is going to be React. Fine. Save it now, and you can see we have another text box, or we can say select box here for job role. Click on it, and you can see we have 2 different options, select job role and React over here. Similarly, let's add other options as well. What we'll do is we'll copy this from here. We'll paste it 4 times, and we are going to change the values here. After React, what we have is Node. Fine. So we'll write here Node. Instead of this, we are going to write here node.js. Then we have full stack. So we'll write here full stack developer, and we are going to change the value as well. So we'll write here full underscore stack, and then we have at the end front end. So we'll write here front end, and we'll change the value here as well. We'll write here front end developer. Fine. Save it now and click on this job role. Again, you can see we have 4 different job roles present here. We have React, Node, full stack, and front end developers. Fine. So this thing is working fine. Now let's do one thing. What we are going to do is we are going to create another div tag, because we have another text box over here. You can see this is different from other text boxes. So for this, we are going to use the text area tag. Fine. So let's do one thing. Let's create another div tag here. So you can see it over here that this is different from other text boxes. So we are going to use different class for this. So we'll write here class. Class is going to be, let's say, text area control. And then inside this div tag, we have to put the label for address. So we'll write here label for address, and the label is going to be address. Fine. Save it now. Move back to a HTML document, and you can see we have address written over here. Now let's use the text area tag for this. So we'll write here after this text area. This is our tag. We are going to use the ID attribute again. ID is going to be address. Then we have the name as address, and we have the row attribute. Fine. So we'll write here row. Row is going to be 4. And after this, what we are going to do is we are going to use the calls as well. So we'll write here calls. Calls is going to be, let's say, 50 columns. Fine. So 4 rows and 50 columns for this particular text area of ours. Then we'll write here placeholder. Placeholder is going to say enter address. And after this, we'll write required over here because address is mandatory. Fine. Close this, and here we have the text area element present over here. Save the program, and you can see the text area over here. It looks different, right? We can write anything inside it. So the text area is here. Now let's move ahead, and we are going to create other text boxes we have in our application form. So let's move back here, and you can see we are left with city, pin code, date of birth, and upload your CV. Fine. So let's create the text box for city now. Now, city is the same text box as we had for other text boxes like first name and last name. So we are going to use the same class for this text box. So we are going to write here div. Class is going to be which class we used previously. So we have used form control. So we'll write here form underscore control. And after this, we are going to use the label first. So we'll write here label for city. Fine. So we'll write here city. Now the label is city with C capital. Save it now. Move back to the output, and you can see we have city present over here. Now we are done with the label tag. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to use the input tag again. Now for this, we are going to write here input. ID is going to be city. Then we have, let's do it the same way as we are doing for others. Then we have name as well. Name is going to be city again. Then after name, we have placeholder. So we are going to write here placeholder. Inside this, we are going to write enter city name. Fine. And at the end, we are going to write here required. That's it. Close the input tag, save it now, and you can see the text box over here on the browser which says enter city name. Everything till now is working totally fine. So let's move ahead, and we are going to create another text box for pin code. Fine. So we'll write here div class. We are going to use the same class. Class is a form control. Fine. Now inside this div tag, we are going to use the label tag again. Label is for pin code, and we have to write here pin code again. We are done with the label. Let's move ahead, and we are going to use the input tag again. For input, we are going to write here type, because a pin number is always numeric. We are going to specify type as number. Then after type, we have ID. ID is going to be pin code. After ID, we have name as pin code again. And we have to use the placeholder attribute here. So we'll write here enter pin code here. And we are going to write required here again. So we are done with the pin code as well. So here you can see it works fine. Now let's move ahead, and after pin code, what we have in our application form. So let's move back, and here you can see after pin code we have DOB, which means date of birth, or we can just write here anything. So you can see we have date of birth as well. So 1 minute, let's close it, and you can see 10/1/1999. So let's see how we can create this. Fine, using HTML only.
Choose from over 300 in-demand skills and get access to 1,000 plus hours of video content for free. Visit SkillUp by Simplilearn. Click on the link in the description to know more.
So we are going to use the div tag again. This time we are going to do it for date of birth. So we'll write here div. Class will remain the same as form control. And inside this we are going to write here label. Label is for date. Then we have to write here DOB. Fine. So save it now, and let's see if it's working or not. You can see we have DOB present over here. Now it's time to add a calendar to a HTML. Fine. So we'll write here input value we are going to define. So let's say the value is going to be 2022, and then let's say today's date. Fine, 24 or 5. Fine, save it now, and you can see it says 2022-24-05. Let's do one thing. We are going to write here type. Type is going to be date, and then we are going to write here ID as date again, and after this we have to mention name as date. Fine. So we are done with it. Save the program, and you can see it says DDMMYYY. So we have to mention here 05 and 24. Save it now, and you can see it says 24th May 2022. Fine. Let's change it to 1999. Save it now, and you can see we have a calendar over here. We have years since 1999. We can use any of them. You can see we have years till 2020, and it's going on further. Fine. So this is how we can add a calendar using HTML. We have to mention the type as date, and that's it. We are done. Fine. Now let's move ahead, and we are now left with this particular thing. We have to create an option where the user can choose a file from his system and he can upload it. Fine. So let's create this as well. We'll see how we can do it. Now what we have to do is we have to use another div tag for this. Fine. So we'll write here div. Class is going to be the same. So we'll write here form control, and after this some of the part will remain the same. We'll write here date, or we can say label for. We'll write here upload, and label is going to be upload your. Fine. We are done with the label. Now what we have to do is we have to use the input tag again. So we'll write here input. Then we have the type as file, and after this we have ID as upload and name as upload. Fine. We'll write here required once again, and that's it. Fine. So save it now, and let's check if it's working. You can see we can choose a file from here. Click on it and it will let you choose any file from your system. Fine. Now we are almost done with the application form. The last thing left now is the apply now button. Let's create this button now, and then we'll be done with this particular application form completely. Fine. So we'll write here after this div we have to define a class for a button. So we'll write here button container. Now after this, we are going to write here button. We are going to use the type attribute. Button type is going to be a submit button. So we'll write here apply now. Fine. We are almost done with it. Save the program, move back to the browser, and you can see we have our application form here. The complete application form. The HTML part is done. We are done with the structure. Now we know that how the form will look like. The form will contain all the information about the first name, last name, email, job role of the candidate, address, city, pin code, date of birth, and an option to upload the CV. Fine. Then the user can click on apply now button, and you can see on clicking apply now, you can see it says please fill out this field. This is because the required attribute we used in the input tag. Fine. Let's move to the CSS part now, and we are going to style this according to our need. So here we are in a CSS file. Let's see what styling changes we have to make in our application form. First of all, you can see the background here. We have two different colors present in the background. We'll see how we can manage them. Then we have this container, which is for the application form, and you can see everything here looks completely perfect. And in this application form we are creating right now, it looks a bit confusing, right? So let's use CSS and we'll make this particular form look like this one. Fine. So let's start writing our code in CSS. So first of all, we'll write here asterisk. This is for the whole HTML document. So we'll write here margin. Margin is going to be 0 initially. Then we have padding. Padding is going to be 0. And then we have box sizing as border box. Save it now, and you can see the margin and padding over here is 0. Fine. Now let's style it. So we are going to write here body. We are going to use a background color initially. So we'll write here background color. Background color is going to be hash 34 ADFF. So we have all the colors present with us, and you can use any color of your choice. Now save the program, and you can see the background color is blue as of now. We'll change it later on. I'll also show you how we can achieve that two different color thing using CSS. So first of all, what we are going to do is we are going to style a container. So you can see over here that we have a class named container. Fine. So the first div tag has the class as container. We are going to create the container now. So to specify a class in a CSS file, we have to use the dot operator, and we are going to write here container. Now inside container, we are going to write max width. Max width is going to be 900 pixels, and let's say margin. Margin is going to be 0 and auto. Save it now. You can see there is no difference as of now. We'll see the difference in a moment. Let's move ahead, and now we are going to style a apply box. Fine. So now we are going to create this particular box. You can see over here, we are going to create this box with the help of CSS. So let's do it. We'll write here dot apply box. Fine. We are going to write here max width. Max width is going to be 600 pixels for this box. Then we have padding. Padding is going to be 20 pixels. And then we have background color as white. Then we have margin. Margin is going to be 0 and auto again. Then we have margin top. Margin top is going to be 50 pixels. And after this margin top, we have the box shadow as well. So for box shadow, we are going to write here 4 pixel and then 3 pixel, 5 pixel, and we are going to use the RGBA values. So we'll write here RGBA, red, green. So the value of RGBA are going to be 1, 1, 1, 0.1, which is sort of black color. Save it now, and you can see it over here. You can see the box which has some box shadow present around its left, right, top and bottom side. Fine. So we are styling a application form now. So next thing we are going to do is we are going to define the border radius. Border radius is going to be 10 pixel. Save the program, and you can see the border changing from this side. Right, from each corner the border is a bit rounded now. At the end we are going to write here text align at the center. Save the program, and you can see the text is aligned at the center now. Now we have to style this web first. So you can see it over here. The font size of web is pretty small when compared to this job application's font size. So let's move back to our HTML document, and you can see the class title small over here. We'll use this class, so we'll write here title underscore small, and inside this we are going to define the font size. Font size is going to be 20 pixels. Fine. Save it now, and you can see the change in font size. We could have used this font size property in the HTML part only, but we are using CSS, so let's do it here only. Let's do all the styling over here in this file only. Fine. Next up, what we have is we have the form container class. You can see it over here. We have the form container class, which remains the same for all the text boxes. So let's style this class as well. So we'll write here dot form container, and inside this we are going to write display as flex. We want it to be flexible, so we'll write here flex direction as column, so it will be flexible column wise. Then we have the font weight. Fine, so we'll write here font weight as bolder. Save it now, and you can see the font is bolder now. After this we are going to use the label tag, so we are going to style all the labels. Fine, so we'll write here label, and inside this we are going to write font size. Font size is going to be 15 pixel for each label, and we are going to write margin bottom as 5 pixels. Save it now. You can see the font size is of 15 pixels now. Now we are going to use 3 different tag names. We are going to use the input, select and text area tag names. Fine. So let's write over here input, then we have select, and we have text area. Fine. So all these tags we have used for a text boxes. Fine. So let's do one thing. We'll write here padding. Padding is going to be 6 pixel and 10 pixels. Then we have the border for each text box. So we are going to write here border as 1 pixel, solid in nature, and the color code is this. Fine. So white we can say, or off-white, a bit of off-white we can say. Then we have the border radius as 4 pixel for each text box, and we have the font size. Fine. Font size is going to be 15 pixel for each text box. Save it now, and you can see over here we have every text box present over here. We have first name, last name, email, and each of them looks a bit similar to this particular application form. Fine, let's style them again. So we are going to write here after this input, we are going to use the focus property over here. On focusing, we are going to write here outline. So we are going to write here outline color. Outline color is going to be, we have the RGB values. So we'll write here RGB 38, 0, 255. 38 for red, 0 for green, and 255 for blue. Fine, save it now. And you can see on focusing on each text box, the border changes to blue color. We can say the outline is changing to blue color. For address, you can see the outline is black as of now. For other text boxes, you can see the outline changing to blue color. Fine. Now, after this input, we have the button. Fine. So we'll use the button container class. So we'll write here button container, and inside this button container we are going to write display as flex, and we have to justify content at the flex end. Fine. Margin top we are going to define. Margin top is going to be 20 pixels, and that's it. Fine, we are done with the button container as well. Save it now, and you can see the button present at the bottom right of our application form. Now after this, we are going to style a button as well. So for that, we are going to use the button tag. We'll write here button background color. We have the RGB value for a background color, which is 0,47 for green and 255 for blue. Fine, you can see the button is blue in color now. Next up, we are going to write here border. Border is going to be transparent for our button. Then we have padding as 5 pixel and 10 pixels. Fine, save it now, and you can see the padding as 5 pixel for top and bottom and 10 pixel for left and right. So we are done with the padding. Then we have after this color. Fine, so we are going to change the font color. For this, we are going to use the color property. Color is going to be white again, and after color we have the border radius. Border radius is going to be 8 pixels, and after border radius we have the transition as well. So transition is going to be in 0.3 seconds, and it is going to be easy. Fine, save it now, and you can see the transition over here. Save it again, and you can see the transition in button. Fine. Now after this, we are going to use the hover effect on a button. For that, we have to write here button, and we have to define hover over here. Then we have to write here background color we want to change on hovering over the button. So we'll write here background color as this. Then we have border here. Border is going to be 2 pixels and solid in nature, and we have the RGB values with us. RGB values are 0,47, 255. Fine. So we have to put the bracket over here, save it now, and you can see on clicking or on taking the mouse cursor over this button, it changes, and the background color is white, the border color is blue on hover. Fine. So this thing is working totally fine as of now. We are going to change the color as well. Color is going to be black, which is the font color. Then we are going to write here transition. Transition is going to be 0.3 seconds and ease out. Fine. Then we have to write the cursor as pointer. Save it now. Take your mouse cursor over the button, and you can see the transition, and you can see the font color is black, the border color is blue, and the background color is white or off-white, we can say. Fine. So the hover effect is also working fine. Next up, what we want to style is the text area. We are left with this text area only. Increase the size of our browser, and you can see this is our text area. We are going to style it first. So we'll write here dot text area underscore control. This is the class name we have. Then we'll write here grid column. Grid column is 1. So it basically is grid in and grid out. So 1 column, and we are going to span 2. So we will write here font weight as bolder. Fine, save it now and you can see the change on the browser. Then we have to write here dot text area control space text area. Fine, we are going to use the tag name here as well. We are going to write here width. Width is going to be 100%. Fine. Now save the program, increase the size, and you can see the address is over here. The width is completely taken by the text area. Fine. Now what we are going to do next is we are going to make it look better in this version as well. So we'll write here @media max width, and then we have max width as 460 pixels, and we'll write here dot text area control. We are going to write here grid column. We'll write here 1 by span 1. Fine. So let's see if this thing is working or not. Save the program and you can see this thing is not working as of now. Move back here, open it with live server, and you can see the application form is not what we expected it to be. Let's see if something's wrong here. And we have used the form container class, but we forgot to use the form control class. So the mistake here is we have to write here form control for this, and we have to define another class over here. So we have to write here form container, save it once, and you can see it's almost fine. So we have to define the form container class now. Inside the form container class, we have to write here margin top. Margin top is going to be 20 pixels. Then we have display as grid, and we will define the grid template columns. So we'll write a grid template columns. We'll write here repeat, and inside here we'll write auto fit, comma min max, and we have to define the minimum and maximum over here. Fine. So the min is going to be 200 pixels and max is going to be 1 FR. Fine. Then we have to define the gap as well. Gap is going to be 20 pixels. I hope this thing will work now. Let's see if this thing is working or not. Save the program, and you can see we have the same application box over here as well. Now one thing we haven't achieved yet is the background, which is of 2 different colors. We have 2 different shades of gray over here. Let's see how we can achieve it. So for that, what we have to do is we have to move to the body section, and we have to write over here background image. So background image, we have to use WebKit linear gradient, and we have to define the angle here 120 degree. Then we have the colors as hash 313131, which is gray, and then we have to write here 50%. Fine. Then we have to put a comma over here. We have to define the second color as well, which is hash 4F5355. Fine, which is also a different shade of gray. Then we have to write here 50%. So gradients allows us to display smooth transition between 2 colors. 120 degree here is the angle, and 50% defines the area the color will acquire. Save the program and increase the size of our window. You can see we have 2 different colors of gray, or we can say 2 different shades of gray here. Now we have created our application form completely. Fine. You can see the transition working, and you can see the transition working here as well. It's working totally fine. Right. Now let's try to fill out this form once. So let's enter a first name here. We'll write here Kaushal, then we have, let's say, name, then we have for email Kaushal, and we have to write here something like this @gm.com. Then we have to select the job role, so you can select here job as Node.js developer. Then we have the city name is, let's say, now try to apply. You can see we need to fill out this field because we have used the required attribute in almost each text box, right? So let's enter the pin code here. Then we have the DOB here. We can choose any file from here and click on apply now. You can see we have to choose any file from here. So we'll use this file. Apply now, click on apply now, and you can see the form is refreshed. We haven't used JavaScript with this form. So to make it completely working, we have to use JavaScript with this form. For now, we are done with the styling and the structure of this particular web page, right? I hope you guys got it. So that's all for this video, guys. See you in another session. If you enjoyed watching this video, do give it a thumbs up. If you have any doubt, please let us know in the comments below. Share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe Simplilearn. Thank you.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.